Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's first episode that kicks off our threat hunting FAQ series. We're so excited you're here, and we look forward to rolling out each episode to you. But today, we're going to talk about proactive versus reactive approaches to threat hunting, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into discovering the key differences between analytical and hypothesis-based threat hunting. My name is Gracie Bell-Smith, and I'm the product marketing manager here at Binary Defense. So before we get started, let's just look at some stats to kick us off. When we were out there pulling together these stats, we found these two, which were incredible. And 49% of organizations experience significant improvements as a result of threat hunting efforts, leading to the creation of more accurate detections and fewer false positives. And then on the other side, we have 51% of organizations have adopted clearly defined methodologies for threat hunting in 2024. So we see this shift and the benefits that are resulting from threat hunting should be no surprise to anybody. But I did want to cover these stats so that as we go through this, we have those benefits in mind before we even get into the differences between analytical and hypothesis-based threat hunting. Our first question is, what is analytical threat hunting? So as you can see over to the right, we have this pyramid of pain and threat hunting. Towards the bottom of this pyramid, lower on the pyramid, you're going to see where analytical threat hunting really focuses on those hash values, those IP address, those domain names. And as you can see on the right side, it shows as it's connected to each of those, whether it's trivial, easy, simple, how difficult it is for the attacker. So what is analytical threat hunting? It's a reactive approach based on indicators of compromise and static signatures. And it's also leveraging historical retrospective queries and analysis. And additionally, it focuses on a limited range of activity that's lower on the pyramid of pain and more specific to an attacker. So oftentimes, organization will look at a file hash and an IP address, which are very straightforward methods, and they're easy to alter, instead of looking at the tactics, techniques, and procedures higher up on the pyramid of pain. And so typically, when you see these file hashes or IP addresses in a write-up, they're probably already used, and an attacker is unlikely to go back and reuse those in a new campaign. So now that we know what analytical threat hunting is, let's talk a little bit about what is hypothesis-based threat hunting. Hypothesis-based threat hunting is a proactive approach. You can identify threats rather than waiting for security systems to hopefully detect and alert on the adversary's behavior. It can also reduce the dwell time of attackers in your environment, and it's a proven process. It's a proven human-driven process to uncover hidden advanced threats missed by automated preventative and detective controls. Additionally, you can achieve high-fidelity alerts with continuously tuning detections based off the threat hunt's findings. With all of that, you cover a broader range of threat actor activity by focusing on these TTPs and honing in on the TTPs that are higher tier items in the pyramid of pain that usually have greater potential to be popularized and used by threat groups and actors. So what can we do to stay ahead of threats with limited resources and expertise? Everybody is challenged with this, whether it's cost due to log ingestion, whether it's you don't have manpower or expertise within the tools that you already have in your environment, or you're looking to bring in new tools. Everybody struggles with resource constraints. We really suggest when you're looking to conduct these threat hunts and move more to a hypothesis-based threat hunts, we suggest that you start with the data sources. Analyze network traffic, server logs, process behaviors, really focus on patterns of unusual behavior and not specific indicators. We also suggest that you follow a step-by-step learning path. So the most important thing to remember is when you get started is to identify what you already have in your existing environment and tool set, and then identify those visibility gaps. For example, some organizations have everything they already need to get started. So they've got their SIM, they've got their EDRs, they've got a well-established environment and infrastructure, and they're ready to get started to build out those detections. And then on the other hand, organizations may not have a SIM, they may not have an EDR, and that's their opportunity to focus on those visibility gaps and those security tool gaps and start there. So it can be tempting to get all the logs and ingest all the logs, but that creates challenges of its own because log ingestion can become very costly. And even the sheer amount of logs you have access to can then overwhelm your team and your resources. Very important that you really focus on the critical logs and start small and then gradually expand your data sources over time to not create that alert fatigue for your SOC. Now that we've talked about data sources and the step-by-step learning path, adopting an attacker's mindset is so critical. So think like an attacker to test defenses, implement multiple layers of security, and then use sensors and traps for early detection of attackers and threats. Next, covering the basics, implement those MFAs, segment your network to isolate critical assets, have strong email scanning and threat filtering, use DNS server and web proxy for all HTTP requests. Very, very simple stuff like regularly updating your antivirus and applying security patches. And then last but not least, enabling Windows firewalls on all workstations. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in, and we will be releasing episode 2 in the coming months, so stay tuned.